1975 was a year of excitement plus a year of despair. It was exciting in the sense that the paper I generated from my master's thesis was presented in the Nice conference by Dr. Merriam, which later on appeared in a book edited by Professor Merriam. And secondly, I started off with my PhD research, reading review of publications, as well as some degree of field work on the weekends in the spring semester. And by the spring semester itself, toward the end, Geeta landed in what is called a residency program in the Johnson City Medical Center south of Syracuse. It's 50 miles or so south. It was a desperate year for another reason. In the sense, I was on a 3-year study leave to do my PhD in Syracuse. And the 3-year was to end by the calendar year 1975. And obviously, knowing very well how slowly things move in Kerala University, I wrote a request to and routed it through the Department of Geology, through the Professor K.K. Menon, or HOD of the department, and then to the university. And university was very prompt enough to reply for that letter. And the reply was actually heartbreaking, in the sense, I was told in the body of the letter that as directed by the Vice Chancellor of the university, you are directed to report for duty on the 1st of January 1976. If you fail to report for duty, you will be terminated from the service of the university. That is the heartbreaking news. After all, the job is very important, career is very important for any person, whatever be the kind of job. Also, there was a situation, and as far as job opportunities in the US is concerned, because of the oil embargo, etc., in the early, I think 72, 73 period, there is a huge spree of drilling and exploration for oil, and geologists found quickly jobs in the oil exploration as well as development sector. And unfortunately, being a Fulbright scholar, I will not be seen by any company to be recruited, to recruit new staff for their cadre. So that is actually printed in very small letters in the original contract with the Institute of International Education, which says that all those scholars who come under this program of Fulbright Scholarship Scheme from different nations of the world will have to go back to their parent countries after conclusion of the study. So that door also is closed for me. So I was desperate. I told Geeta about the situation whenever we met toward the weekend in Johnson City, and Geeta called her parents at home in Shastamangalam, Trivandrum, and they said they will go and meet the Vice Chancellor, making a personal request. This Vice Chancellor then was Professor R.S. Krishnan, a physicist of repute who was with the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. And being a Brahmin as well as a good researcher, specialized in crystallography, etc., was a Vice Chancellor who was enjoying the benefits of the emergency declared by Indira Gandhi, late Prime Minister, in the university by putting his decisions down with firmly in the university's departments as well as in the university administrative sections. So Krishnan was actually riding the wave of discharge of extraordinary powers he had appropriated from the rules and regulations of the university. So when my in-laws went and met Dr. R.S. Krishnan in his official home and the Jawahar Nagar in the Kavadiya Avenue, then this Vice Chancellor, he was coming out of the what is called the puja room after doing the morning puja, morning ritual. He told, when he saw these people, he asked who they were. Then they told, we came here to see you, sir, and we are the in-laws of Thrivikramji, who is on study leave in Syracuse University. Well, immediately the response was, well, if he wants to keep the job, he will have to come back like what is told in the order. Otherwise, he loses his job. That's all. I have nothing else to say. He was not very rude, but very strict in about what he said. So sooner I got another phone call from home in Trivandrum saying that this is the attitude of the Vice Chancellor and he is not amenable to any requests. Well, then I wanted to play the last card, or the so-called trump card. In the 1970s, I was elected as the secretary of the Kerala University Teachers Association. And one of the things I did, I promoted or mooted, was that we should have a president of the association who will be a politician and who will be always, whose party will be represented in the syndicate of the university as well as the government of Kerala. And we thought if we had such a person, then the implementation of benefits of the UGC pay revision will be sort of, speedily implemented for the benefit of the teachers. And, vast majority of the younger crop of teachers accepted or agreed to this suggestion and finally decided to have Sri N. Srikandan Nair, a ex-MP and a leader of the Revolutionary Socialist Party. And Srikandan Nair is quite impressive personality. He's a highly educated person, and a small group of our team went over to the MLA quarters because whenever he comes to see Srikandan Nair, because whenever Srikandan Nair is in Trivandrum, he occupies the room. It is allotted to Mr. Baby John, a member of the RSP and party, and a minister in the Kerala cabinet in charge of education. So we went in and saw this Thrivikramji Nair sir, and he was surprised to see a bunch of teachers in the university, daring or thinking about the necessity of meeting Srikandan Nair. And he said, welcome, what is your problem? We said, we have no problem, sir. And what we want is, we want your help. We want a person of your type to be our president of the association. And he was surprised. Well, he had some comments to observe. Then he gave us a green signal saying that he will be gladly accepting the offer of presidentship of the association, Kerala University Teachers Association. Well, this was not very well swallowed by some of the very senior teachers who expressed their objection by resigning instantly from the primary membership of the association. In fact, these people were the founder members of the association. That is another interesting point. The people, professors like P.G. Keshav Panikar and E.T. Matthew of Economics Department and Professor V.I. Subramaniam of the Linguistics Department of the university were the first to resign. And luckily for us, there were no more resignations. And in fact, these people had called me over the telephone and expressed their desire to see me in person. I went in and saw them on a later occasion. Everybody said, all in unison, they have nothing against Thrivikramji, but they have an objection about the association inviting a politician to sit at the helm of affairs. So anyway, we had some executive meetings chaired by Krishnan Nair sir, and we were having an excellent human relationship and friendly relations, officials, etc. with Krishnan Nair. And what I thought when I got the message from my in-laws about the what is called denial of leave for me, and in the Vice Chancellor's very firm conviction that the leave denial will stay and it will not be relooked. Then I wrote a letter initially to my brother Kochetan, who is also a local member of the RSP in Kavadiyar, stating all these points and the consequences of not having a leave extension and so on and so forth. And then after a week, I called him over the telephone, which is a very poor connectivity. Anyway, I called him over the telephone. And those days, so we have landlines and satellite, etc., etc. And I spoke to him and asked him to see Krishnan Nair when he comes to Thiruvananthapuram in the MLA hostel. And he comes, and whenever he comes, he will be there for 3 days. Every month there will be a syndicate meeting, and there will be committees on the day before the syndicate meeting, and on the day of syndicate meeting, and another day, following day, Krishnan Nair will be in MLA quarters. So go to that Krishnan Nair and tell him that Thrivikramji, the secretary of the Kerala University Teachers Association, and he is the brother, and he has such a problem, and you'll have to solve it. Then my brother did exactly the same thing. Then it was in the month of, I think, October, yes, 1975. I was actually very much depressed, but I was ready to take off to India. Suppose the leave is not extended. I did not want to continue and lose my job. But because after a PhD, even if it is from Syracuse or any other university in the United States, I will have to run from pillar to post to get a placement in India. And therefore, I was prepared for 1, to depart from Syracuse, 2, if I am given the extension, then I will, continue the work. And both fronts, I was equally prepared. And my co-chairman and Krishnan Nair said, thus you remind me on the day before the syndicate. Syndicate is meeting next month, or in the month of October, on 22nd or 23rd or whatever, some date. And Kochetan did exactly the same thing. And on in this morning when the syndicate was meeting, and Sridhar said, yes, I will, let me see. Then when the syndicate meeting was called to order by the Vice Chancellor, Dr. R.S. Krishnan, then the Mr. Thrivikramji Nair told the syndicate, members of the syndicate, and including the Vice Chancellor, that let us decide to extend the study leave of K.P. Thrivikramji of the Geology Department, who is now in Syracuse doing his PhD. And then Vice Chancellor was stunned and told the registrar to minute this decision as item number 1 in the minute. Another thing is, this was not an item that was included in the agenda of the syndicate meeting for that particular day. This is something that I learned after I came back to India and from the office of the University of Kerala, the concerned section, because there was only a three-line statement as the decision of the syndicate to extend the study leave. There was no back file or whatever. So it is they had to create some kind of paperwork in order to issue a permission for me to join as well as to start earning the monthly salaries. So as soon as this happened, this decision was made in the syndicate. In the evening, Kochetan went to Sridhar Nair again in the MLA quarters, and Sridhar Nair said that, Dase, the thing is done. You tell your brother to study well and complete before the end of December 1976, so that he can join only on the calendar year, first day of the calendar year, 1977. So, for some reason, I thought it was a great advantage. Professor Merriam, in spite of his writing to the Vice Chancellor, R.S. Krishnan, a letter stating why Thrivikramji needs another year, the Vice Chancellor wrote back to Professor Merriam stating that based on the policy of the university, we are not granting or extending study leave of Thrivikramji. So he is directed to rejoin the university on the 1st January 1976. As soon as Dr. Merriam got this letter in his hand, he took the letter over to my office where I was seated and told me, and handing over the letter, he told me, "Hey Vic, I don't think your Vice Chancellor understands English." In other words, the Vice Chancellor has totally ignored all the reasons, not all, all the reasons in just one point only, very boldly, that Dr. Merriam included in his letter. That is, in general, any PhD student in the field of geology takes at least 4 to 5 years to complete a PhD degree. And Mr. Thrivikramji will be, however, not taking 5 years. At the end of the 4th year, that is at the conclusion of the calendar year 1976, he would have earned his PhD. So university Vice Chancellor may consider the extension of study leave, for which the Vice Chancellor answered in negative. So Merriam sarcastically told, "Your Vice Chancellor does not understand English." So that is about how I managed to stay for one more year and complete my PhD before I came back to India. Well, that is actually an exciting decision and exciting event in my career and as a professional in geologist.